All right, so Poolside and Claude Code are going head to head right now, and the numbers are way closer than you'd think. Both tools hit roughly 1 million tokens on paid tiers, and that stat alone changes how you pick between them. This matters right now because both tools are actively competing for your workflow in 2025. So we're running Poolside versus Claude Code across 4 real tests, and every single claim here traces back to verified sources with zero vendor spin. And yeah, the final differentiator is probably not what you've been reading about online, because the thing that actually decides this comparison might just be whether you can even get in the door. So who is this comparison actually for? If you're a developer trying to pick an AI coding agent for your real workflow right now, this is for you, and we're covering context size, IDE fit, multi-file refactoring, and pricing, because pick the wrong one and you're either locked out of the tool or paying way more than you need to. Okay, test 1 is context window and retrieval accuracy. And this one matters a lot if you're working on a big code base, because a bigger context window means the AI can see more of your code at once, and it's less likely to lose track of what's happening 3 files over. So here's what we got. Poolside Laguna S2.1 on paid tier hits 10,040 9,000 tokens. Claude Code on max, team, or enterprise hits 1 million tokens, which is pretty much the same number, but Claude Code has published degradation data showing things get shaky beyond 400 to 600,000 tokens, and Poolside has 0 published retrieval accuracy figures. This test is a tie too close to call, because on raw size, they're basically equal, but we can't score retrieval accuracy since Poolside just hasn't published that data. So after test 1, the score is Poolside 0, Claude Code 0. One tie. I want to be honest though, the tie kind of hides something. Poolside actually gives you 262,000 tokens for free, no credit card, no subscription, while Claude Code's 1 million token window requires at minimum the $100 per month max plan. So depending on your use case, this dimension is not as even as the score makes it look. Moving on, test 2 is IDE integration depth and editor compatibility. And this one is super practical because doesn't matter how smart the model is, if it doesn't plug into the editor you actually live in every day, you're just not going to use it. Both tools cover VS Code and JetBrains, so the basics are there, but Claude Code explicitly names 6 JetBrains IDEs plus GitHub, Slack, iOS, Android, and a documented editor state feed that pipes open tabs, selected code, and lint errors straight into the agent, while Poolside covers Visual Studio and Coder, which is solid, but the platform breadth is narrower. Claude Code takes this test because it has a wider, better documented platform surface and a verified editor state context feed. So the score is now Poolside 0, Claude Code 1, one tied. I take this with a grain of salt though, because Poolside does cover Visual Studio and Coder, which Claude Code does not publish support for. So if your team is on Windows Enterprise environments or cloud dev setups using Coder, Poolside's IDE story is actually a better fit and the gap closes fast. Okay, test 3 is autonomous multi-file refactoring. And this is probably the one you care about most if you're doing real engineering work, because you want to know whether the tool can actually touch 10 files, run the tests, fix the type errors, and leave your codebase in a working state when it's done. Both tools claim multi-file refactoring, and both claim parallel subagents. Claude Code has a published step-by-step agentic loop with a known failure mode where it applies early edits but misses downstream files. And Poolside scores 40.4% on DeepSWE, which is press verified. But there's no equivalent Claude Code figure to compare, so we can't score this head-to-head. This test is a tie too close to call because the data just isn't there for a clean comparison. So the score is now Poolside 0, Claude Code 1, 2 tied, and both tools describe the capability, but neither has a real head-to-head benchmark on multi-file refactoring we can actually use. Honestly, Claude Code's documented failure mode where it misses downstream files in a refactor sounds bad, but it's actually more useful than Poolside's silence on the topic, because at least you know what to watch for, whereas Poolside's PR opening and sandbox claims come from press rather than independent tests. So you want to get your hands dirty before you trust it. Last one. Test 4 is pricing model and enterprise access cost. And this is really, really important if you're evaluating these tools for a team, because the wrong pricing model can cost you way more than you expected, especially if you're running high volume API calls or need that full 1 million token context window. Poolside Laguna S2.1 on paid tier runs 10 cents per million input tokens and 20 cents per million output tokens, with a free tier at $0 with 262,000 context, while Claude Code starts at $20 per month for Pro, $100 per month for max 5 times with 1 million context, or $200 per month for max 20 times. And these are different models, so direct comparison is tricky, but that free entry point is a clear Poolside advantage. Poolside takes this test because of the free tier and per token API pricing that's dramatically cheaper for high volume use, which brings the score to Poolside 1, Claude Code 1, 2 tied, and it's genuinely even now, which is why the final decision comes down to something other than raw numbers. That said, Claude Code's flat monthly rate is way easier to budget for individual developers who don't want to think about token counts. And if you need that 1 million token context, you're at $100 per month minimum, which might still be worth it depending on your use case. So Neither pricing model is obviously wrong. Okay, so where does Poolside clearly win? Free 262,000 context on OpenRouter with no credit card needed, per token pricing at 10 cents per million input tokens for high volume API work, Visual Studio encoder IDE support for enterprise Windows shops, and on-premises or private VPC deployment for teams with strict data residency rules. Claude Code's wins are pretty concrete too. It's available right now, no waitlist, covers GitHub, Slack, iOS, Android, and 6, named JetBrains IDEs that are all documented and shipping. The editor state context feed is independently verified, and the agentic refactoring loop has a published testable failure mode, so you actually know what you're dealing with. So here's the decision rule. If you need on-prem deployment, per token pricing for high volume API use, or Visual Studio support, go with Poolside. If you can get access, but if you need something that works today across your whole toolchain with verified integrations and a documented agentic loop, Claude Code is the practical choice.